You are watching William Patterson University Television.
Welcome back to the desk. It's the witching hour of the Pioneer season. Here to break down everything on the gridiron at Whiteman Stadium, we have Andrew, Anthony, Joe, and John. You know, Anthony, I'll start off with you. The Pioneers took a tough loss this past week against Rowan. 14-9 was the final score. What did you see from the game?
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, it was a tough loss. Pioneers did do their job, and they got a good outing from Simon Condemi. He played the whole game, and he was 7 for 13 passing, so he had a solid day, definitely. We're actually going to take a look at the stats here for the Pioneers, and Rashid Woods and Nazir Dale also had very good days on the ground. That's no surprise there. I mean, the rushing game has been unstoppable for the Pioneers. 180 yards, 250 total yards, and the Pioneers dropped to 4-3. They're still one game away from clinching a 500 season, and they'll try to bounce back this week against Christopher Newport. But ultimately, 9 points, that's not going to do it. 14 points on defense, that should be enough to get you the win. But unfortunately, this week that wasn't the case.
Yeah, defense definitely did their part. Offense got to step it up that next week. They did have success running the ball. John, what did you see from the game?
Like you said, we had great success running the ball. 179 yards, it's a lot. And compared to our 253 yards per game and our 150 yards rushing per game, I mean, you're leaving 100 yards for passing. And I do think that if we were to add more air time to our game, we'd be able to utilize our running game more.
Joe?
Listen, teams are starting to find out now when you run the 1-2 punch with Rashid Woods and Nazir Dale in the backfield, right? Rowan really clogged up the box a lot. They put a lot of men inside the box, 8, 7 guys in there. Listen, that opens up your passing game, okay? You have a Matt Clark, you have Tazier Byrne, you have Ty Brookins, you have Ethan Mays, you have Rollins. You have a great receiving core, right? Spread the ball around, right? You run that spread offense, and with Condemi or Lay Stallings as a QB, you're able to open up the passing game more.
Yeah, Condemi and Stallings, we've seen them, but they both have a lot of arm talent. They both can run a little bit too. So, Andrew, what did you see from the game?
Yeah, I mean, defense, they played great again. They had 5 sacks. They forced 2 fumbles. Unfortunately, they weren't able to hop on those fumbles. But just like John and Joe said, you got to get this passing game going a little bit. It's going to open up your run game. I mean, we can see Condemi. He knows how to pass the ball. Stallings knows how to pass the ball. I mean, if it can open it up more for Nazir Dale and Rashid Woods, this Pioneer offense could explode.
They're too talented in the receiving corps to not be able to use the receivers enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, Andrew, you just mentioned a lot of the stars on the offensive side of the ball. We like to highlight both sides of the football here today on WP Sports Desk. Joe, defense got a lot of stars on that side. Got that dog in them.
Yeah, no, so this defense, Jimmy, really has a dog. And one guy I want to mention is Nazir Wright, the former transfer from Stephen F. Austin, Division I level. Listen, this is a guy who's got 52 tackles. He's got 11.5 tackles for a loss. He also has 5 sacks in the season, 2 forced fumbles, and he's got 3 pass breakups. This guy's all over the field. He runs sideline to sideline. He's able to, chase guys down the line when he has to squeeze on the tackle. He makes plays every day, and he's always in the tackle. He's always making the tackles as well every play.
You know, Nazir Wright, every year he's been a leader on this defense.
Yeah,
Andrew,
really
who are you going to highlight today?
I got to go with Samad Wingo. He has 62 tackles, which is going to lead the team so far. He has 11.5 tackles for loss, also tied for first. 3.5 sacks, as you can see, an interception and a forced fumble. Also 7 QB hits, which leads the team. This guy's literally been everywhere this season. Every single play I watch, he's pretty much making a play every time. He didn't get a ton of time last year, but this year he's really used his opportunities, and we could see he's exploding this year.
Yeah, with key seniors leaving last year, like Jared Salgado, he's really stepped up on that Pioneer defense. John, who's your player?
You know, I love these 2 picks, Nazir Wright and Andrews, but I think I'm going to go with Elijah Bell. He is my guy with 37 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, one of the team's 8 interceptions, and one of the 5 sacks from last year. He has 2 of the 11 on the season. So I think he is a dominant defensive player this year, and he's going to continue to be for the next 3 games.
Yeah, something I always notice about Elijah Bell is when he rushes off the edge, he's always looking to, if he can't get to the quarterback, he's always got his arms up in the air. He's always looking to block the pass from the quarterback. You know, Anthony, close out our players. Who are you picking?
James, I'm going to go with Devin Blunt. He has been unstoppable this year. And he's got 20 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. Pass breakups, that's tied for the team lead. 2 interceptions, that does have the team lead with a fumble recovery. And he can run the ball back, kick returns, punt returns. He can do it all. He is locked down on defense, and he is a big reason why the Pioneers are a no-fly zone on defense.
Yeah, him and JoJo Kirby have really locked it down for the last 2 years. And Andrew, the NJAC, the corners obviously play a good piece in the NJAC, big part of that defense. What do the Pioneers need to do to get bowl game eligible? They need 2 more wins. What do you need to see from them?
Well, we'll take a look here at the NJAC standings. The Pioneers, they've struggled a little bit so far in conference play, just 1 and 2. But there's 2 more wins they need. They have 3 more games. Christopher Newport this weekend, TCNJ, Montclair the next 2 weekends. I think that this Christopher Newport game, I think it's going to be very tough for them, but I think TCNJ and Montclair both pretty bad defenses statistically. I think the Pioneers can definitely squeeze out 2 more wins, and I think they can definitely make it to a bowl game.
Joe, what do you like their chances to be?
I think their chances, are pretty well, and I say that because, the NJAC is very beatable. This is a very beatable conference. I think when you look at the overall teams this year compared to last year, a lot of teams went down this year, in my opinion. A lot of seniors, a lot of guys transferred out and throughout the whole conference. This is a William Paris team for a lot of experience, a lot of returners coming back, and they have a chance to really, control their own destiny. You have Christopher Newport this week, TCNJ, and MSU. Okay, you have 3 games are really winnable games, and you're able to control your destiny and get a chance to be bowl eligible.
Controlling your destiny as a team, no matter the sport, is like the ultimate goal. If the power's in your hands, that's where you want to be. John, talk to me about the Pioneers.
I really think that the bowl game eligibility is going to come out in the Montclair game. Like Andrew said, they're a tough team. Well, Christopher Newport is a tough team, as Andrew said. And it doesn't have to come out in the Montclair game, but it can if we can't beat Christopher Newport. Because TCNJ, they're 0-3 away. They're away at us during our homecoming. We should be able to win that game. And then along with Montclair, we should get that bowl eligibility.
Anthony?
Yeah, if I'm the Pioneers, I want to get this out of the way as soon as possible. I do not want to wait until the Montclair game to try and clinch the bowl eligibility. They are 1-15 against Montclair all time. They have not had success against Montclair. Pioneers beat Christopher Newport 48-28 last year. If that can continue, and then they beat TCNJ, who they just barely lost to last year, I agree with John. They are very beatable. The Pioneers should be able to beat TCNJ. If they can win the next 2, clinch the bowl eligibility now, it should be set up.
Montclair State, that game last year, definitely heartbreaker at home. I remember watching that game. It really hurt me. I was watching it in the studio, producing for Brave New Radio.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that was a killer. John, you talked about Christopher Newport a little bit. Talk to me about this game.
So the Christopher Newport game coming up, we can pull up the stats right now. But the points per game for William Patterson and Christopher Newport, WP is at 17, Christopher Newport's at 24. The opponent's points per game, William Patterson can hold their opposing teams to 15. Christopher Newport's at 16.5. Total yards per game, 253 for William Patterson, and then 316 for Christopher Newport. Opponent's yards per game, 230, and then we have the 225 from Christopher Newport. What I see in this game is that their offense is the same as our defense, so it's going to be a hard, tough battle.
Yeah, no, I agree, John. It's going to be a low-scoring game. The Pioneers going to have to grit it out with that defense that we've talked about for so long now. Andrew, what do you see from Christopher Newport?
Yeah, CNU, they have a very good offense and they have a very good defense. They run the ball very well. They have Colin Hart, a wide receiver. He's second in the NJAC in receiving yards, as well as quarterback Matt Zierski. He leads the NJAC in total offensive yards. He has over 1,300 this season. It's going to be a very tough game for the Pioneers to pull out. I think they can do it, but it's going to be a very, very tough game for them.
Anthony, what do you see from Christopher Newport?
Yeah, the Pioneers are 1-5 against Christopher Newport all time, but that one win came last year, as I mentioned, 48-28 was your final. They got a strong defense, though, Christopher Newport, and I wonder if the Pioneers are going to try and keep this ball on the ground. I don't know who the Pioneers are going to run out at quarterback, but we should see more of the same with Nazir Dale and Rasheed Woods. They're running around 80 rush yards per game, Christopher Newport is, so if the Pioneers can keep the ball on the ground, keep pounding the rock, and have some success, that should lead to a W.
Yeah, gain that time of possession lead, run early, run often. Joe, we're going to be seeing a roll nears this weekend?
Yeah, listen, this is a CNU team that's probably, in my opinion, one of the better dark horses teams of the NJAC this year. Matt Zierski, he's probably the guy you need to stop if you're the Pioneer. If you're watching the film, he's the guy you need to stop. He throws the ball, he runs the ball. He's CNU's offense, besides Colin Hart. All right, this guy does it all. He was NJAC Offensive Player of the Year last year. So I trust the defense very well. This defense is too good. They're just too talented, too good to not beat the CNU team. And you saw the score last year. They did one good job, stopping that offense. And I think, I trust the D-line. I love the secondary back there with Kirby Massey, Patrick Green. I can name the whole defense if I really wanted to, but I think, the Pioneers are going to do okay. And this is a big game for this week, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, big game. Definitely going to be looking to get to 5-3. We wish the Pioneers the best of luck in their game against Christopher Newport. That's all the time we have for today. But stay right here as we throw the ball to Joe and the NFL guys give you the latest here on WPTV.